Super Dave here for another review. Hi, Super Dave here with another exciting review. It is time for the Sorceress, and that is what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at the Club Grayskull Sorceress that Super 7 did, as well as glancing at the two that I already own, which is the Classics version back here, and of course the Goddess in the green back there. So we'll be looking at all those in just a few moments. But of course this first one here comes in that nice sleeve slip cover. That's normal. It's the Castle Grayskull, kind of like a drawbridge, and when you open the drawbridge, there you have the figure within, so you get a good look at the sorceress there and all she comes with. So you get a good look at that little window beside Castle Grayskull there. Another window. A nice artwork that depicts the Filmation Sorceress standing on the drawbridge there. Beautiful artwork, as well as a new bio. If you don't want to read that, you certainly can pause and read that. And so let's go ahead and break open this awesome figure. You can see the little eyes in the top that you can look down in there. But excellent figure there. So let's break her open and check her out. All right, here is our sorceress out of the packaging. And she's looking amazing. Very nice. Let's first of all just look at this head sculpt. You can see a close-up there, just getting an idea. Now I'm going to put over here on the side what she was supposed to look like. This is a pretty beautiful head sculpt, but you're seeing there beside her, that's what she was supposed to look like, and this is what we got. Now Super 7 still did a great job, but it's a far cry from that original prototype look. And I must say, I was disappointed. I can't hide that fact. But here's what we got, and she is beautiful, and she is really has a great head sculpt. And there's a lot of things I like about this character, this figure, and we're going to take a look at it. Let's first of all look at her accessories, which she does come with quite a few. Let me give you a little background first of all. The real name of the current sorceress, which is, according to Filmation, is this sorceress right here, the one that we all know and love as the sorceress in Castle Grayskull, and was also able to turn into the Falcon, Zohar. But her name is Teela-Na. That's her actual name. Of course, she went by Sorceress. Her history is revealed in the 1984 episode of The Origin of the Sorceress, in which her nemesis, Morgoth, returns and attacks Eternia. While waiting for Morgoth to reappear, the sorceress explains to He-Man how she became the guardian of Castle Grayskull. Now, her home, her original home, before she came to Eternia and was introduced to Castle Grayskull, was the village of Noella, and it was attacked and subsequently conquered by Morgoth and his allies, Pharos, Repta, and Rechnia, servants of the evil horde. So, Teela-Na, our sorceress here, sought out Castle Grayskull, which she hoped would help her find a way to defeat her captors. And just as she was about to succumb to the Eternian wasteland, the mystical fortress appeared before Teela-Na's eyes, Castle Grayskull, and she was invited inside by a mysterious voice. Once inside, she came across an older woman named Kudik-Ungol, which was the sorceress before Teela-Na, and that was her name. So that explains this next accessory we get, which is this other sorceress face. Now, it's hard to tell any major difference, but this is supposed to be an older version of this one. And she may look like she's a little older. But she has the blue feathers around the face instead of the orange coming around the side, and her face may be a little narrower. And she's supposed to have some older features to her face, which in a little bit, maybe her jawline is sunken in just a little bit, or her cheeks. But other than that, it's really hard to tell any difference between these two, for me personally. But it's supposed to be an older version. So this one is supposed to be Cutuck Ungol, which was the sorceress before Teela-Na. So Cutuck Ungol invited her to take up the mantle of Castle Grayskull as the protector, which Teela-Na accepted and is endued with the power of Castle Grayskull. And once she has this power and has taken her place at as guardian of Castle Grayskull, Teela-Na, the sorceress, newly appointed sorceress, returns to Noella and overtakes her nemesis, overthrew the invaders before returning to her new home inside of Castle Grayskull. But Cutuck Ungol, this older version here, the one that was this guardian and sorceress before Teela-Na, she had disappeared. She had gone away, and no one knows her fate or what happened to her really. So that's why we have this one packed with this one. So you can do the story with Cutuck Null, which I plan on doing when in my diorama stories. Masters of the Universe Classics, the story, we'll be covering that story when we get to He-Man. We're still on King Grayskull right now and his backstory, but we'll be covering this story, so I'm excited about that. But this is the older one that passed the mantle of Guardian of Castle Grayskull on to Teela-Na, our featured sorceress we all knew and loved in the opening sequence of the 80s cartoon.
Our friends, the Sorceress.
And of course in action figure form finally. It took them a while to make that one, didn't it? And then now we have finally a Filmation version of this one that's really nice. Now we do have and we'll be doing some comparison in more detail in just a little bit, but we do have the classics. And I just want to zero in here just for a second so that we can, since we're talking about it, this is the classics version that Mattel did. And this is Super 7's Filmation version that's a little less detailed, a little plainer, not that much detail. But you can judge for yourself which face sculpt you like the best. The new Teela-Na Sorceress of Super 7 Filmation, or the classics Mattel version there beside her with a little bit more detail there. And of course that's the one that had these big hinges for the wings, and they've resolved that in this Filmation version, which we're looking at next here. So the first wings she comes with is this plain solid piece of plastic with those 3 pegs sticking out there, as you can see, and that is for the purpose of being able to peg them into your sorceress. And on the back you see she has a hole here and then one on each arm, and you'd have to position these just right. So what you do is you plug in those arms into each of the pegs, and those pegs are a little soft so they bend. You have to kind of work with it. They don't want to go in those holes perfectly. They keep notching out. Let me try this side, see if I can get it in there better. You can see that. That one's going in a little bit there. See if this one will go in without pulling out. Seems like when I get the other one notched, the other one wants to pull out. There we go. I think I got it now. Oop, now that one came out. Yeah, those little pegs are really soft. They're wanting to squish instead of peg in. All right, so there she is with that first wing accessory on there. So you see how she looks there from distance there, like it's just the subtle version where she's in a standing pose and the wings are nicely folded in behind her. But notice, no ugly joint or hinge that is seen, like we have or had on this version when she was not in this mode. When you put her arms down, you know, it's kind of, I mean, you have a little bit more layer there, but you had those big bulky bolt things, plastic bolt things sticking out of her back. This resolves that. So I guess you could say pleasing to the eyes in posing and in displaying, maybe more, and that's up to the individual, maybe more than the Classics version. But there's a lot of things I really love about this one. I think she's awesome, but this one is ranking up there as well as one of my favorites, as one of my favorite characters, but also now action figures, because of the detail they put into her. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in just a moment. All right, so let's go ahead and pop that one off and try the next version. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this head off here. And you can see, you can take that head right off there. And I am going to go ahead and kind of position her in somewhat of a position like I would think these would need to go. Now, one thing I notice automatically is the peg on this next accessory, which is the large spread out wings, has a big peg in the middle and the smaller pegs on the side. And then her peg hole is pretty large there on the back, so that pegs right in very nicely, very tightly, which is nice, being that's a bigger and heavier piece. And now let's see how these are going to function. They're going to be about, well, they popped in a little easier than the last one there. See if, yep, that one did too. A little bit harder plastic than the smaller version here. All right, so I want to go ahead and pop the Teela-Na's Sorceress head on again. We'll look at some pictures with the other one, or poses with the other one later. It does kind of get in the way, but not too bad as far as the back of the hair or the head piece. But that is gorgeous. That is just gorgeous. I really like that. Now that is just, to me, that's really nice. You get the same effect with your classic Sorceress here, but just a little cleaner. You don't have the colors on the feathers like you do on this one. But if you go back and look at the Filmation, let's check and see. See, the Filmation one does not have the colors when she has her wings span open. So that's very interesting. All right, that looks great. And then of course on the back you do have the color span. And so that's gonna just allow for some awesome poses. I think that is just so cool. That is just so neat. Really nice, really nice. All right, so the next accessory that she comes with is Zohar, and this is a chunky version of Zohar, probably more Filmation accurate compared to the ones that we have gotten before, because of the way it looks. It's very plain, very simple. The colors are there, and she's landed there on that perch. And let me just show you something very quickly here as I stand our Sorceress up here. Just very quickly, let's look at a comparison. You have a different base. Of course, this Classics base that came, the Zohar, is very much detailed. The wings, the colors, the rivets, or the feathering, I should say, in that Zohar. And the only thing that allows this Zohar to be on this perch is the claws actually grasp hold. And that's how, oops, see, she falls off easy, because that's how she holds on. Whereas with this version, the Filmation version, notice it doesn't fall off very easy, because it's not just held on by the claws, even though the claws do help, it's also held on by those pegs. And as you see, there are holes in the bottom of his claws. Now I had to notch those out a little bit with my X-Acto knife, because the holes weren't big enough. After they painted the pegs, I think it made the pegs a little thicker. But once you notch it out just very simply and cleanly, and you may could have even heated them up. I'm not sure, I didn't try that, but I just notched them out just a little bit with the X-Acto knife, and that allowed my Zohar to stand on this new, very simplistic, it's thicker, it's plain, but it's sturdy little perch that our new sorceress Teela-Na comes with, and the Zohar. This is her in bird form. This is her in bird form. So I guess technically you could have her, you could have this one on standby when she's perched, sitting still, and could always use this one when she's about to take off in flight, or even show flight poses where she's in flight. And then when she's talking to somebody or needing to perch, we could use this one for sure. So I like the face sculpt personally better on this one, the detailed one of the Classics. But overall, I believe this is more Filmation accurate. Let's check and see. Yep, pretty good, pretty close. But there's Zohar. And there's our new Zohar that comes with our new Sorceress Filmation Super 7. Very nice. Bravo again, Super 7. All right, let's go over to our setup here at Castle Grayskull and check out our Sorceress Articulation. All right, so here we have our figure, and let's look at her articulation. Of course, with that head on that ball joint, she can look down about that much, and of course these little feathers on the headdress gets in the way a little bit. She's able to look up about that much, and again, the headdress back here hits the back and gets in the way a little bit. She's able to look side to side pretty much completely without any problems, because those things are soft there, and so that's very nice. And so just a little bit of bobblehead as well. Get a little posing there, some expressions. So I like that. Nice looking neck. I like the way that ball joint hides that neck. You don't see it. It's very nice, clean, very, very well done. Now let's go on to the arms. Of course, you have that ball joint goes up about that much. You can do 360, of course. And then you have, instead of a bicep swivel, you have an elbow swivel. So that swivels right there at the elbow, single jointed elbow there. And then you have a hinged wrist, so you could get some spell type, looking poses there. So that's really neat. And so really nice setup there as well for the arms and the hands. Same thing on this side. Again, that nice hinge and swivel. So you can get just about anything you need done with those hands and arms. Just to mention though, remember the only drawback to the feather scheme on this particular character is the pegs on the arm, but they're a lot smaller and a lot less obtrusive than the ones that came on the Classics version. Now let's look at the diaphragm. Now, in the past, just like with most all of the action figures, of course our Teela back there, our Classics Teela, had nothing, no swivel at the waist, no ab crunch, nothing. She's completely unable to do anything from the legs up until you get to her head as far as swivel or anything. Now with some of the She-Ras, the newer She-Ra, bubble She-Ra, and then with this one as well, you did at least get a twist at the waist, but that was it. No ab crunch, which none of the women female characters came with ab crunch. So they really did, I think, awesome job with this one, because here you have a ball joint at the let's say rib cage or bosom area, and so she can crunch forward a little bit, and can even crunch back just a little bit, not much, but you also get a full turn without it showing that seam very much. I mean, that's bravo. I wish they had done all of the female characters that way. I just love that. You don't get much side to side, but you could probably do a little bit. But there you have it. I mean, that's excellent. Then of course with your legs, you get that typical ball joint there. This is very flexible, does not get in the way at all. You can also do a full seat. Of course, she has single jointed knees and very nice boot cut. You have boot cut at those calves there. Then you have the ability for that shoe to go down and up, and also excellent rockers. That's right, have excellent rockers and are well hidden. Don't have that ugly joint like some of the, like Teela did. For instance, as you see here, she had that, you know, those ugly joints there on the boots, but not too bad, but just, you know, a little nitpick there. But this does not have that. It's very, very well done. I love the way they executed this, and you do not have on this one. Well, let's see. You don't really have thigh swivel. Just double checking that. You don't really have the thigh swivel on these Filmation legs. So there's no thigh swivel there, but you do have the boot cut, so you'll be able to get some turns on the side there like that. And then of course her ability to turn like that will help as well. So, you know, there's some sacrifices there. You can't have it all sometime. But there's the articulation of our Teela-Na Sorceress, our guardian of Castle Grayskull, and of course one of He-Man's #1 advisors and counselors. She had a very humble, very contrite spirit about her. She had just an excellent desire to help others and would come to their aid. But the further away that she got from Castle Grayskull, the weaker her powers would become. And that was certainly a drawback to a certain degree on that, that level for her. But love the execution of these wings. Love their execution here as far as how you can attach them. Here we go. From the side there. Look at her from the back. The other side. Very nice. Very nice. Seems like her head will not tilt back as far in this particular wings attached. Not get her head to stay. These wings just, you know, press against there. But I guess you can compensate a little bit with the diaphragm and even with the legs. Get her looking up. There we go. That's better. That's better. So it doesn't have her looking down all the time. All right, and then one more time in this particular setup, let's go ahead and set her up for this bigger set of wings, the spanned wings here. Turn her head, and it makes it easier if you turn her head to put it on there, to peg it in. It pegs in nicely. And for some reason, this larger set of wings peg in easier with that peg than the smaller set. And there seems to be a little bit more head clearance as well. So that's also nice. Possibly. Let's see. Yeah. So there she is again with her wings spread out. Let's check something while we've got that pose there just for a moment. So now let's do a little comparison with sizes. So let's just check on our our Classics by Mattel, which stands at, and it's hard for you to see at that angle, but I'm looking dead on it, and it's just above 6.5 inches, just above 6.5 inches, maybe 6 5/8, not quite 7. And then our newer version here stands just above 6 inches, right at 6¼ inches. And I'm looking dead on it. I know it's harder for you to see. It's maybe in the camera. Yeah, it's close. Looks good. But yeah, 6¼ So this one is a little shorter than your 7-inch characters. For instance, your Teela character here, she stands, and you can see the difference just behind her there. She stands at 7 inches, as well as He-Man and Man-at-Arms and the different characters. But the Sorceress is a little shorter, which would be accurate. But she's even shorter in the Classics version too. Again, about 6 5/8, just under 7 there. So I'm very impressed. I really like this particular Sorceress and the way Super 7 did it. Let's go ahead and pop on the Kudak Ungol head, which is supposed to be the older Sorceress. And I'm just going to zoom in here because I want you to take a notice. In this lighting, you can almost tell a little bit more of those sunken cheekbones compared to your other head here. A little bit more of a rounded cheekbone there, whereas this one, especially in the inside there, you have a little bit of that, just a little bit of an aging look there. Let me turn her just a little bit. You can maybe see, you can see just where that cheekbone sinks in just a little bit. But to say that she's older is I don't know, just makes her look like a different face, not necessarily older face per se necessarily, but I don't know, you be the judge. Maybe a tad older there. But there is our Sorceress, our Filmation Sorceress. And let's go ahead and take our Classics one out of the way so that we can get some poses. Thank you for watching. Please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Hit that bell if you want to continue receiving my reviews, and especially when you want to hear about Mattel Classics, the story, part 4 coming out. Working on that now. Got a lot to do. And be blessed. And here's some poses and some pictures of our Sorceress.